I never thought helping someone with their slap shot would lead to falling in love. But that's exactly what happened the night Marcus Chen knocked on my apartment door at 11 p.m. Hockey stick in hand, desperation in his eyes, and asked me the question that would change both our lives forever. Let me back up. My name is Dylan Foster. And I'd spent the last 3 years perfecting exactly two things. My position as left wing for the university's Division I hockey team, and the art of keeping my feelings locked away where no one could find them. At 22, I'd become an expert at both. The rink was my sanctuary. The cold bite of ice beneath my skates, the rush of wind against my face during a breakaway, the satisfying crack of my stick connecting with the puck, these were the things that made sense to me. Everything else in life felt complicated, messy, uncertain. But hockey? Hockey had rules. Hockey had structure. Hockey didn't care who you loved. Marcus had joined our team as a transfer student at the start of our senior year. He was a defenseman, strong, strategic, with reflexes that bordered on supernatural. Where I was all speed and instinct, Marcus was calculated precision. He read the game like it was written in a language only he understood. Always 3 moves ahead, anticipating plays before they materialized off the ice. He was quieter than you'd expect from someone with his build. 6'2" with broad shoulders that filled out his jersey in ways I definitely wasn't supposed to notice. He had this way of listening when people talked, really listening. His dark eyes focused with an intensity that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. His hair was perpetually tousled, like he'd just run his hands through it. And he had this habit of biting his lower lip when he was concentrating that. I absolutely did not find distracting. I was screwed from day one. We'd become friends quickly. Marcus had that effect on people. He was genuine in a way that felt rare, especially in the competitive world of college hockey. We'd grab coffee after morning practice, study together in the library when we should have been sleeping, debate the merits of different NHL strategies until our other teammates told us to shut up, and through it all, I kept my feelings buried deep, because Marcus was straight, or at least I'd assumed he was. He'd mentioned an ex-girlfriend once, briefly, and I'd taken that information and used it to build a wall around my heart. Better to have him as a friend than to risk everything on a confession that would only make things awkward. Besides, I was good at hiding. I'd been doing it my whole life. Growing up in a small Minnesota town, where hockey was religion and anything different was suspect, I'd learned early how to compartmentalize. My parents were supportive. It surprised me with their acceptance when I'd come out to them at 17. But the world beyond our kitchen table was less forgiving. So I developed a public persona. Dylan, the hockey player. Dylan, the good teammate. Dylan who dated occasionally but never seriously. Who kept his personal life private. Who smiled and nodded when the guys made jokes he didn't find funny. It wasn't lying exactly. It was survival. But then Marcus knocked on my door that Thursday night, and all my carefully constructed walls started to crack. "Dylan, hey, I know it's late, but can I come in?" His voice was tight with stress. His usual calm demeanor fractured around the edges. I stepped aside, trying not to focus on how good he looked, even in his anxiety. He was wearing gray joggers and a university hoodie, his hair damp like he'd just gotten out of the shower. The scent of his cologne, something woodsy and clean, drifted past me as he entered my apartment. "What's going on?" I asked, closing the door. "Everything okay?" Marcus set his hockey stick against the wall and turned to face me, running both hands through his hair. That gesture that I'd cataloged in my memory, along with all his other unconscious habits. "I need your help," he said. "The scouts are coming to next week's game. From the Avalanche." I felt my stomach drop. The Colorado Avalanche. One of Marcus's dream teams. He'd mentioned them before, usually late at night, when we were too tired to filter our conversations. When honesty slipped through easier than usual. "That's incredible," I said, meaning it despite the sudden tightness in my chest. "Marcus, that's huge. Would be if I could get my shot right," he said, frustration bleeding into his words. "I've been working on my slap shot for weeks, trying to add more power, more accuracy, but something's off. Coach noticed it today at practice, and now I'm in my head about it." And he stopped, took a breath. "You have the best shot on the team." the best technique. I was wondering if you'd help me figure out what I'm doing wrong. The vulnerability in his voice did something to me. Marcus was always so composed, so in control. Seeing him like this, uncertain, almost fragile, made me want to fix whatever was broken, to give him back that confidence he wore like armor. Of course, I said without hesitation. Of course I'll help. When do you want to start? The relief that flooded his features was almost physical. Now. I know it's late, but I have a key to the practice rink, and I need to work through this. I can't sleep knowing I'm messing up. I should have suggested tomorrow. Should have maintained some boundary between us, some protective distance. But the way he was looking at me, hopeful and desperate and trusting, demolished any resistance I might have had. Let me grab my gear, I said. The practice rink was empty, lit only by the emergency lights that cast long shadows across the ice. Our skates echoed in the cavernous space as we warmed up, the familiar ritual of stretching and easy skating settling my nerves. Marcus was tense. I could see it in the set of his shoulders, the rigid way he gripped his stick. He took a few practice shots, and I immediately saw what he meant. His form was technically correct, but there was something mechanical about it. Like he was thinking too hard instead of letting muscle memory take over. "You're overthinking," I called out, skating over to him. "Your body knows how to do this. You're just getting in your own way," he huffed out a frustrated breath. "Easy for you to say. You make it look effortless." "It's not effortless," I said, coming to a stop beside him. It's about feeling it, not thinking it. Here, let me show you." I demonstrated my shooting stance, talking through each element. Weight distribution, hip rotation, the snap of the wrists at the point of contact. Marcus watched intently, those dark eyes tracking every movement. "You try?" I said. "But don't think about the scouts, or the game, or anything except the puck and the net." He set up, adjusted his grip, and fired. Better, but still not quite right. "Your weight transfer is a fraction too late," I said, skating closer. I hesitated. "Can I physically show you?" "It's easier than explaining. Yeah, please." I moved behind him, and suddenly I was very aware of how close we were. I could feel the heat radiating from his body, even through our gear. I could smell that cologne mixed with the clean scent of ice and cold air. Professional, I reminded myself. Keep it professional. I placed my hands on his hips. Proper coaching technique, nothing more, and guided him through the motion. "Feel how your weight shifts here. That's where the power comes from. Your hips lead, your upper body follows." We went through the motions slowly, my hands on his waist, his body moving in sync with mine. And then something shifted. Marcus went very still, like that. His voice was quieter than before, something new threading through it. "Yeah, I managed. Exactly like that." We stayed frozen for a moment that stretched too long, my hands still on his hips, neither of us moving. I should have stepped back. Should have made a joke, lightened the mood, re-established the safe distance between us, but I didn't. "Dylan." Marcus turned his head slightly, just enough that I could see his profile in the dim light. "Can I ask you something?" My heart was hammering against my ribs. "Sure. Are you?" He paused, and I watched his throat work as he swallowed. "Are you seeing anyone?" The question knocked the air from my lungs. "What?" He turned fully now, forcing me to either step back or maintain our proximity. I chose proximity, some reckless part of me throwing caution aside. "I need to know," Marcus said, and there was something raw in his expression now, something that looked almost like hope. "Because I've been trying to convince myself that I'm imagining things, that the way you look at me sometimes doesn't mean what I think it means, that I'm just projecting my own feelings onto you because I want—" He stopped, shook his head. "I need to know if I'm crazy, or if maybe you feel it too." Time seemed to suspend. The world narrowed to just us, Marcus and me, standing on ice in an empty rink, the question hanging between us like something fragile and impossibly precious. "Feel what?" I whispered, needing him to say it, needing to know this was real. Marcus reached up, and I thought he was going to touch my face. But instead he pulled off his gloves, then mine. his bare fingers wrapping around my wrist. His thumb found my pulse point, and I knew he could feel how fast my heart was racing. "This," he said softly, "the way my pulse speeds up every time you're near me. The way I find excuses to stay late after practice just to talk to you. The way I think about you when I should be thinking about literally anything else." He laughed, but it was shaky, uncertain. "I came out to myself 3 months ago, Dylan, and I came out to myself because of you." The confession hit me like a physical force. Everything I'd been holding back, every careful wall I'd constructed, crumbled in an instant. "You're not crazy," I said, my voice rough with emotion. "I feel it too. God, Marcus, I've felt it since the day you joined the team. And I've been trying so hard not to because I assumed you were straight and I couldn't risk losing you as a friend. And I didn't get to finish because Marcus kissed me. It wasn't gentle or tentative. It was desperate and sure, all at once, his mouth on mine with weeks of pent-up longing behind it. His hands came up to cup my face, and I grabbed his jersey, pulling him closer, kissing him back with everything I'd been suppressing. We were still on skates, precarious on the ice, but neither of us cared. His lips were cold and then warm, the kiss deepening as months of tension finally found release. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. "I've wanted to do that for so long," he murmured. "Me too," I admitted. "Marcus, me too." He pulled back just enough to meet my eyes, and the smile on his face was radiant, transforming his features into something beyond handsome, something luminous with happiness. "So," he said, "I still need help with my slap shot." I laughed, the sound echoing in the empty rink. "Your slap shot is fine. You were never really here for hockey advice, were you?" "Oh, I definitely need the advice," Marcus said, grinning now. "But no, I came here hoping you'd give me a sign. Anything that would tell me I wasn't completely misreading everything between us. And if I hadn't," his expression softened, "then I'd have taken the help with my shot, gone home, and kept hoping. I wasn't going to push. Your friendship means too much to me to risk it unless I was sure." The honesty in his words, the care behind them, made me fall even harder. "Let's actually work on your form," I said, "because you do need help, even if that's not why you came. And because I'm not ready for this night to end." "Deal," Marcus said. He kissed me again, quicker this time, but no less sweet. "But fair warning, I'm going to be very distracted now." "Good," I said, smiling against his lips. "No, I won't be the only one." We spent the next 2 hours on the ice. And Marcus's shot did improve, partly because of my coaching, partly because he stopped overthinking, and partly because every few minutes we'd find excuses to skate close, to touch, to steal kisses that tasted like joy and possibility, as we finally left the rink near 2 a.m. Our gear bags slung over our shoulders, Marcus reached for my hand. The gesture was simple, but it meant everything. We'd spent so long hiding our feelings, building walls to protect ourselves. Now, in the quiet darkness of the parking lot, we were allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. "To hope? This changes things," Marcus said as we reached my car. "Not a question, a statement of fact." "Yeah," I agreed. "Is that okay?" He squeezed my hand. "That's better than okay. That's everything." The next morning, I woke up with my phone buzzing and a smile already forming on my face before I was fully conscious. 2 texts from Marcus. "Morning. Last night wasn't a dream, right? Because if it was, my subconscious deserves an award for creativity." I typed back, "Definitely not a dream. Unless we're both having the same one, which would be weird but also kind of romantic." His response came immediately. "Coffee before practice?" I promised to keep my hands to myself in public. Mostly. "Bold of you to assume you'll want to after you've seen me pre-caffeine. I've seen you after 2-a-days in August. I'm aware of all your states of being. Still want coffee?" That made me laugh out loud, and I realized something had fundamentally shifted. The nervous energy that usually lived in my chest when I thought about Marcus, the careful monitoring of every word, every gesture, had transformed into something lighter. Not gone, but different. Better. We met at the campus coffee shop. And the sight of him waiting outside, 2 cups already in hand and that soft smile on his face, made my heart do complicated things. "Got your usual," he said, handing me the cup. "Though I have to say, your commitment to black coffee is concerning. It's like you enjoy suffering." "It's efficient," I countered, falling into step beside him as we walked toward the athletic complex. "Unlike your sugar dash, milk dash with dash, a dash, hint dash of dash coffee situation, it's called flavor, Dylan. You should try it sometime." It was so normal, this banter between us, but underneath it ran a current of something new. Awareness, attraction, the memory of his mouth on mine. Every time our shoulders brushed, every time he looked at me, I felt it. "So," Marcus said as we approached the locker room entrance, "how do we want to handle this?" "With the team, I mean." The question sobered me. I'd been so caught up in the euphoria of last night that I hadn't thought through the logistics. Our team wasn't overtly homophobic. We had a strict no-tolerance policy for slurs or discrimination, but that didn't mean everyone would be comfortable. And there were practical considerations, too. Team dynamics, potential judgment, the scrutiny that would come with being the first openly gay couple most of our teammates had encountered. I'm out. But I've never been in a relationship where it was public, where people had to deal with it. Marcus nodded slowly. "I'm not out. To the team. Or to anyone except my parents and my sister. And, as of last night, you." "How'd they take it?" I asked. "Your family?" "Better than I expected," he said, and I heard the relief in his voice. My mom cried, but in a good way. My dad gave me this awkward hug and said he just wanted me to be happy. My sister said she already knew and had been waiting for me to figure it out. Smart sister. It's too smart. "It's annoying," he smiled, but it faded quickly. "I want to be open about this, Dylan, about us. But I also want to be strategic. The scouts are coming next week, and after that we have playoffs," and he trailed off, frustration creeping into his expression. "I don't want to hide you, but I also don't want the timing to mess things up for either of us." I understood what he wasn't saying. Coming out in the middle of our most crucial season could become a distraction. It could change how coaches viewed us, how teammates interacted with us. It could become the story rather than our performance. "What if we tell people after the scout game?" I suggested. "After the playoffs? Give ourselves time to just be us, without the pressure of everyone's opinions." Marcus looked relieved. "You're okay with that? Keeping it quiet for a few weeks?" "I've been keeping it quiet for months," I said. "A few more weeks won't kill me. As long as I know this is real, that you're serious about this." He stepped closer, his voice dropping. "Dylan, I'm completely serious. Last night wasn't some impulse. I've been feeling this way for so long that finally being able to tell you felt like I could breathe properly for the first time in months." The sincerity in his words wrapped around my heart. "Okay," I said, "we keep it between us for now. But after playoffs, we tell everyone," Marcus finished. "Deal." "Deal." He glanced around the empty walkway, then quickly pressed a kiss to my cheek. "For luck," he said with a grin before heading into the locker room. I stood there for a moment, touching the spot where his lips had been, feeling like the luckiest person alive. The next week passed in a blur of practices and stolen moments. We became experts at finding privacy in public, a brush of fingers when passing equipment, loaded glances across the rink. Late-night phone calls that lasted until dawn. The secrecy should have been hard, but instead it felt almost thrilling. We had something that was just ours, a world that existed in the spaces between official team activities. Marcus would text me from across the locker room, saying things that made me bite my lip to keep from smiling too obviously. We'd stay late after practice, claiming we were working on drills. But spending as much time kissing in the equipment room as actually skating, I learned things about him I'd never known. How he hummed unconsciously when he was happy, the way he got quiet when he was processing emotions, needing time before he could articulate what he felt, his fear that he'd waited too long to come out, that he'd missed opportunities by not being honest with himself sooner. "I keep thinking about all the time we wasted," he said one night. We were in his apartment, ostensibly studying for our sports psychology exam, but mostly just sitting close on his couch, his head on my shoulder. How many months we could have been doing this instead of pretending. "We weren't ready before," I said, running my fingers through his hair. "You needed time to understand yourself, and I needed to know you felt the same way. We're here now. That's what matters." He tilted his head up to look at me. "When did you know that you liked me?" "First practice," I admitted. "You did this thing where you blocked 3 shots in a row. And after the third one, you just laughed, like you were genuinely having fun even though you were exhausted." And I thought, oh no, this is going to be complicated. Marcus grinned. "First practice. I didn't know until week 3, when we got coffee and you went on that 15-minute explanation about why the 1980 Olympic team strategy was actually revolutionary for its time. You were so animated, and your eyes got all bright, and I realized I wanted to keep making you look like that." "I don't get animated," I protested. "You absolutely do." "It's adorable." I kissed him to avoid admitting he was right. But despite the happiness, there was an undercurrent of tension building as the scout game approached. Marcus's anxiety increased daily, manifesting in overthinking and restless energy. His shot had improved, but now he was worried about every other aspect of his game. What if I'm off my timing? He fretted the night before the game. We were at the rink again, supposedly running drills. What if I miss an obvious play? What if Marcus? I caught his shoulders, making him look at me. "You're one of the best defensemen I've ever played with. The scouts are coming because they already saw something special in your game tape. Tomorrow, you just need to be yourself." Easier said than done, when my dream is sitting in the stands, judging my every move. "Then don't think about them," I said. "Think about the game. Think about the team. Think about—" I hesitated, then committed. "Think about me, because I'll be out there with you, and we're going to play the best game of our season." Something in his expression softened. Yeah, I confirmed. "We're a team, Marcus. On the ice and off it." He kissed me then, deep and slow, pouring his gratitude and fear and hope into it. When we broke apart, he rested his forehead against mine. "Thank you," he whispered, "for being exactly what I need." "Always," I promised, meaning it with everything I had. Game day arrived with perfect weather, cold, crisp, ideal hockey conditions. The arena was packed, the energy electric. I spotted the scouts in the third row, clipboards out, expressions neutral and professional. In the locker room before the game, coach gave his usual pregame speech, but I barely heard it. I was too focused on Marcus across the room. Watching him go through his mental preparation ritual, eyes closed, breathing steady. Finding his center, our eyes met as we stood to head onto the ice. He gave me a small nod, and I returned it. A private communication that said everything we couldn't say aloud. The game started fast and physical. Our opponents, a rival university with playoff implications on the line, came out aggressive, testing us immediately. But our team responded with precision, and I felt that familiar flow state kick in, where everything became instinct and reaction. Marcus was brilliant. I watched him read plays with that uncanny anticipation he had, positioning himself perfectly, breaking up attack after attack. His shot was sharp when he took it, his passing crisp and accurate. He was playing with confidence, with joy, with the freedom that came from trusting himself, and we moved together like we always had. That intuitive connection where I knew where he'd be before he got there, where he could find me with a pass without looking. But now it felt different, deeper. Now we weren't just teammates. We were partners in every sense of the word. Midway through the second period, I picked up the puck in our defensive zone and started skating. I could feel Marcus moving up the ice in parallel, creating space, drawing defenders. I threaded a pass through to opponents, and it landed perfectly on his stick. He took 2 strides, wound up, and unleashed the slap shot we'd spent hours perfecting. Top corner. The goalie didn't even move. The arena erupted. Our teammates crashed into Marcus, celebrating, and I skated over, allowing myself to hug him just a second longer than strictly necessary. His eyes found mine over our teammates' shoulders, bright with happiness and adrenaline. That was perfect, I said. We were perfect, he corrected. We won 4-2. Marcus had a goal and 2 assists. I had 2 goals and an assist. As we skated off the ice, exhausted and elated, I saw the scouts making notes, having an intense conversation. In the locker room, the energy was chaotic with celebration. Marcus was getting congratulations from everyone, his smile so wide it looked like it might split his face. Our eyes kept meeting across the room, sharing this moment that was his, but also somehow ours. Later, after we'd showered and changed, Marcus found me in the parking lot. "The Avalanche scout wants to meet with me," he said, and his voice was shaking slightly. "Tomorrow morning, official meeting." Marcus, that's incredible. I pulled him into a hug, not caring that we were in public. "I'm so proud of you. Couldn't have done it without you," he said into my shoulder. "That goal, that pass you gave me was perfect. You made me look good. Made yourself look good," I corrected. "I just got you the puck. You did the rest." He pulled back, his hands still on my arms. "Come with me." "To the meeting?" "What?" "No, that's your thing. I want you there," Marcus insisted. As my support, please?" The vulnerability in his request made it impossible to refuse. "Okay," I agreed. "If you're sure?" "I'm sure." What neither of us knew then was that tomorrow's meeting would force us to confront a choice we hadn't anticipated making. A choice that would test everything we'd just discovered about each other and ourselves. The Avalanche. Scout's hotel conference room was intimidating in its sterility. Corporate furniture, fluorescent lighting, a table that felt too large for the 3 of us sitting around it. The Scout. Margaret Torres was a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and an efficient demeanor. She'd spent the first 15 minutes of the meeting talking about Marcus's performance, his potential, what the organization saw in him. I sat quietly in the corner, therefore moral support as requested, watching Marcus handle the conversation with impressive composure, despite his obvious nerves. "We'd like to offer you a development contract," Margaret finally said, sliding a folder across the table. "Entry-level, standard terms. You'd spend next season with our AL affiliate in Colorado. It's potential call-up to the NHL roster depending on performance and team needs." Marcus's hands trembled slightly as he opened the folder. This was everything he'd worked for. His dream, tangible and real, printed on official letterhead. "This is incredible," he managed. "Thank you. You've earned it," Margaret said. "Your game tape was impressive, but seeing you live yesterday, your hockey IQ, your positioning, your leadership on the ice, that's what sold us. You have NHL potential, Marcus." I felt a surge of pride for him, seeing his dream come true. But there was something in Margaret's expression, a carefully neutral look that made me uneasy. "There's one thing we need to discuss," she continued, and her tone shifted slightly. "The organization values its players both on and off the ice. We need athletes who can represent the franchise well, who can handle media attention, who understand that being a professional hockey player means being a role model."
Oh.
"I understand," Marcus said, though I could see the confusion in his eyes. He didn't know where this was going, but I did. I felt it like ice water in my veins. "Social media has become a significant part of player branding," Margaret continued, "and management does monitor online presence, particularly during the recruitment and development phases. One of our staff noticed some patterns in your interactions, following certain LGBTQ advocacy accounts, liking posts from pride organizations, things like that." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Marcus went very still. "I'm not saying this is a problem," Margaret said quickly, her voice careful. "The organization has no official policy regarding players' sexual orientation. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that professional hockey remains a traditional environment. Players who draw attention to themselves of ice for any reason sometimes face additional scrutiny, distractions that can impact performance and team dynamics. She wasn't saying don't be gay. She was saying don't be openly gay. Don't make it an issue. Don't let it become a story. Marcus's expression had gone blank. That careful mask he wore when he was processing something painful. I see, he said quietly.
Again, this isn't about judgment, Margaret continued.
It's about pragmatism. Your job is to play hockey. Everything else, your personal life, your relationships, your private beliefs, those are your business. We just want to make sure you understand that focus is important, especially in your first professional season. The subtext was clear. Stay closeted, at least for now. Keep your personal life quiet. Don't rock the boat. I felt sick. Can I have some time to review the contract? Marcus asked, his voice steady, despite everything. And discuss it with my family? Of course, Margaret said, relaxing now that she'd delivered her message. Take a week. But we'd love to have your commitment before the playoffs conclude. After a few more pleasantries, the meeting ended. Marcus and I walked to my car in silence. The contract folder clutched in his hands. We sat in the parking lot for a long moment, neither of us speaking. Finally, Marcus laughed, but it was hollow, bitter. Well, he said, that was enlightening. Marcus, she basically told me to stay in the closet, he continued, staring at the folder. Very professionally, very carefully, but that's what she meant. Don't make it an issue. Focus on hockey. Keep your personal life private. You don't have to sign it, said immediately. There will be other opportunities, other teams, will there? Marcus turned to look at me, and the pain in his eyes was devastating. This is the Avalanche, Dylan. My dream team. How many chances like this do you think I'll get? You're talented enough that you'll have multiple offers. Maybe. Or maybe this is it. Maybe I take this chance, or I spend the rest of my life wondering what if. He ran his hands through his hair, frustrated. And it's not like she's technically wrong. Being openly gay in professional hockey would be distracting. It would become the story. Every interview, every media appearance, I'd be the gay hockey player, not just a hockey player. So what? I said, hearing the anger in my voice. You should have to hide who you are for their comfort. No, Marcus stopped, closed his eyes. I don't know. I just got this contract offer 30 minutes ago. I haven't had time to process anything. I forced myself to calm down. This wasn't about me. This was Marcus's decision, his future, his dream. You're right. I'm sorry. Take the time you need. He reached over and took my hand, holding on tight. What would you do if you were me? The question hung in the air between us. I thought about my own journey, coming out to my parents. Being openly gay in casual conversations, but never in any official capacity with the team. I'd found a middle ground, a way to exist authentically without making it a defining characteristic. But what Marcus was facing was different. He'd be in the spotlight. His private life would be scrutinized. And he'd have to choose between honesty and opportunity. I'd want to be able to be myself, I said finally. But I'd also be terrified of giving up a dream I'd worked my whole life for. So I honestly don't know what I'd do. Marcus nodded slowly. What about us? How does this affect us? That was the real question, wasn't it? If Marcus took the contract and stayed closeted, what did that mean for our relationship? Long distance was manageable. But being someone's secret? Being the relationship he had to hide to protect his career? I don't know, I admitted. I won't lie to you. The thought of going back to hiding, to pretending we're just friends, that hurts. But I also don't want to be the reason you don't pursue your dreams. You're not a reason, Marcus said fiercely. You're the best thing that's happened to me. These last 2 weeks with you have been, his voice cracked. I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose you. You won't lose me, I promised. Even though I wasn't entirely sure how we'd navigate this. Whatever you decide, we'll figure it out. But I could see the wheels turning in his mind, the calculations he was making. Dream versus truth, career versus authenticity. And somewhere in that equation, us, this thing between us that was still so new and fragile. The next few days were tense. Marcus was distracted during practice, going through the motions but clearly not present. Coach noticed, pulling him aside after one session, and I watched from across the rink as they had what looked like an intense conversation. That night, Marcus called me. "Can you come over?" he asked. "I need to talk to you about something." His apartment was dark when I arrived. Just one lamp lit in the living room where he sat on the couch. The contract folder open on the coffee table. I talked to Coach Marcus, said as I sat down beside him, told him about the offer. Was excited for me, said I'd earned it. Then I asked him hypothetically what would happen if a player came out publicly, how he thought the team would react. What did he say? He said he'd support them. Guess the team has a responsibility to create an inclusive environment. But then he got quiet and said that professional sports aren't always as progressive as college, and that I should be prepared for challenges if I ever decided to be public about being gay. "He knows?" I asked, surprised. I didn't explicitly say it was me, but yeah, I think he figured it out. Marcus leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "The thing is, Dylan, I've been thinking about this all wrong. I've been framing it as dream versus truth, like I can only have one. But what kind of dream is it if I have to pretend to be someone I'm not to live it?" Hope flickered in my chest. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that I didn't fight this hard to understand myself just to go back into hiding. I didn't find you," his voice caught. "I didn't find this, what we have, just to treat it like something shameful that needs to be kept secret." "Let me finish," he said. "I know this complicates things. I know it'll make my career harder. But I also know that I can't spend the next however many years lying to everyone, pretending to be someone I'm not. Hiding you like you're something to be ashamed of. Because I'm not ashamed. I'm terrified, but I'm not ashamed." The conviction in his voice, the courage it took to say those words, made me fall in love with him even deeper. "What are you going to do?" I asked. Marcus picked up his phone. "I'm going to call Margaret Torres. And I'm going to tell her that yes, I want to sign the contract. And also that I'm gay and that I'm in a relationship. And if that's going to be a problem for the organization, I'd rather know now." "Are you sure?" I had to ask. Had to give him one more chance to reconsider. "You don't have to do this. We could find another way." "There is no other way," Marcus said simply. "Not for me. Not anymore. I spent too long not being honest with myself. I'm not going to start my professional career by lying to everyone else." The bravery of it took my breath away. "Okay," I said. "Then call her, and whatever happens, I'm with you." He took a deep breath, squeezed my hand once, and dialed. Margaret Torres answered on the third ring. Marcus put the call on speaker so I could hear. "Marcus, hello. Have you had a chance to review the contract?" "I have," Marcus said, and I heard only the slightest tremor in his voice, and I want to accept it. "But before I do, there's something I need to disclose." A pause. "Go on," Gay Marcus said clearly. "I'm in a relationship with another man, my teammate Dylan Foster, and I'm not willing to hide that. I won't be making it the center of my public persona, but I also won't lie about it if asked. If that's going to be a problem for the organization, I'd rather know now, before I sign anything." The silence that followed felt eternal.
Ow.
I watched Marcus's face, saw the fear there, but also the determination. He'd made his choice. Now we waited to see if his dream would survive it. "I see," Margaret finally said. Her tone was unreadable. "Can you give me 24 hours to discuss this with management?" "Of course," Marcus said. "I'll call you tomorrow with our decision. In the meantime, Marcus, I want you to know that I appreciate your honesty. That took courage." After they hung up, Marcus set his phone down and just stared at it. "Did I just ruin everything?" he asked quietly. "No," I said firmly. "You were honest. You were brave. If they can't handle that, then they don't deserve you." "Easy to say," Marcus said. "Harder to believe when my entire future is hanging in the balance." I pulled him close, and he let himself lean into me, the tension slowly draining from his body. We stayed like that for a long time, holding each other in the dim light of his living room, waiting for tomorrow. The call came at 2 p.m. the next day. Marcus was in class, his phone buzzing on the desk. I watched him look at the screen, go pale, then excuse himself to take it in the hallway. I followed, not caring about the professor's disapproving look. Marcus answered, his back to me. "Hello." Couldn't hear Margaret's side of the conversation, but I watched Marcus's posture change, the rigid set of his shoulders, the way his free hand clenched into a fist, the careful control of his breathing. "I understand," he said finally. "Thank you for letting me know." He hung up, stood still for a moment, then slowly turned to face me. The expression on his face was complicated. Relief mixed with disappointment, acceptance mixed with frustration. "They rescinded the offer," he said quietly. My heart sank. "Marcus, I'm so sorry, but—" He continued, and now a small smile played at his lips. "Margaret said that decision came from senior management, not from her. She said she disagreed with it, that she argued for me, but was overruled." And then he paused, the smile growing. "Then she said that she's been scouting for 8 years, and she knows talent when she sees it. She gave me her personal contact information and said that she's moving to a different organization at the end of the season. She said when she does, if I'm still interested in playing professionally, she'd like to continue the conversation." "Really?" "Really." Marcus laughed, and it sounded almost giddy with relief. "I didn't get the avalanche. But I didn't get blacklisted either. And I have someone in my corner who knows I'm gay and doesn't care, who just wants to work with me because I'm good at hockey." "You're better than good," I said. "And any organization that can't see that doesn't deserve you." He pulled me into a hug right there in the hallway, not caring who might see. "I should be devastated," he murmured against my shoulder. "That was my dream team. But all I feel is free. Like I don't have to pretend anymore. Like I get to just be myself." "You do," I said. "You absolutely do." That night Marcus posted on social media. Nothing dramatic or attention-seeking, just a simple photo of us at the rink. My arm around his shoulders, both of us smiling at the camera. The caption read, "Some things are more important than staying comfortable. Proud to be exactly who I am, with exactly who I want. Hashtag, be true hashtag, love is love." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Teammates texted support. Friends commented with heart emojis. A few accounts we didn't know shared it with encouraging messages. There were negative comments too, there always would be. But Marcus didn't seem to care. He'd made his choice, and he was at peace with it. Our coach called a team meeting the next day. I expected awkwardness, maybe some tension. Instead, coach gave a short speech about respect and inclusion, made it clear that bigotry wouldn't be tolerated, and then our captain, a guy named Jake, who he'd played with for 3 years, stood up. "Just want to say," Jake announced, "we already knew Marcus was gay. Well, most of us suspected, and we literally don't care. He's a great player and a better teammate. Anyone got a problem with that can leave now." No one left. Several teammates came up to Marcus afterward, offering support or congratulations, or just fist bumps of solidarity. It wasn't perfect. There were a few guys who seemed uncomfortable who didn't quite know what to say. But the overwhelming response was acceptance. We won our next 3 games, clinching a playoff spot. Marcus played with a lightness I'd never seen before, like a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. During one game after I scored, he skated over and hugged me, and someone in the stands started a chant of true love. True love. That had us both laughing. "This is surreal," Marcus said that night. We were at his apartment, tangled together on the couch, watching highlights from the game. A month ago, I was convinced coming out would ruin everything. Now I'm here with you. The team knows and everything is okay. Better than okay. "You made it okay," I said. "You were brave enough to be honest." "You were brave," Marcus corrected. "You gave me a reason to be honest. A reason to believe it was worth the risk." I kissed him, slow and sweet, pouring everything I felt into it. 3 weeks later, we made it to the conference finals before losing in a hard-fought 7-game series. It was disappointing, but we'd exceeded expectations. And both Marcus and I had played the best hockey of our college careers at the season-end banquet. Coach announced that Marcus had won the Defensive Player of the Year award. As he accepted it, he looked out at the crowd and said, "This season taught me a lot about hockey, but it taught me more about being honest with myself and trusting the people around me. I'm grateful to this team, to these coaches, and to someone very special who reminded me that being true to yourself is always worth it. Even when it's scary." He looked directly at me as he said it, and I felt my face heat with a combination of embarrassment and overwhelming affection. Later, As the banquet was winding down, Marcus pulled me aside. "Margaret texted me," he said. "She took a job as head scout for Seattle's new expansion team. They're building their roster from scratch, and she wants to talk to me about a contract." "Marcus, that's incredible. It's not guaranteed," he cautioned, "but it's a conversation. A real opportunity with someone who already knows I'm gay and doesn't care. When does she want to talk?" "Next week." "And Dylan," he hesitated. "She asked if you'd be interested in talking to them too. Said that seeing us play together, seeing that chemistry, made her think about what kind of team culture she wants to build." My heart stopped. "What? No promises?" Marcus said quickly. "But she said she'd been looking at your game tape anyway, and that she's interested in aggressive forwards who can also play smart defensive hockey. She wants to talk to both of us. The possibility of it. Playing professionally, playing with Marcus. Being on a team that accepted us from the start felt too good to be true." "I know it's a long shot," Marcus continued. "Expansion teams are a gamble, and we'd both be on development contracts, probably starting in the minors. It's not the NHL, at least not right away. But it's a chance. For both of us." "Together," I said, letting the words settle between us. "Together," Marcus confirmed. "If you want that, did I want that? A future with this man who'd had the courage to risk everything for honesty? A chance to play the sport I loved without hiding who I was? A team that might actually understand what it meant to be inclusive from the ground up?" "Yes," I said. "Absolutely yes." Marcus's smile was radiant. "Okay then, let's see where this goes." The Seattle practice facility was state-of-the-art, all gleaming ice and modern equipment. Marcus and I stood at center ice, looking up at the empty stands. Still not quite believing we were here. We'd both signed development contracts with the expansion team's AL affiliate. We'd spend the next season proving ourselves, working our way up. It wasn't a guarantee of NHL success, but it was a start, and we were doing it together. "You ready for this?" Marcus asked, his hand finding mine on the ice. "With you?" "Always." He kissed me right there on the ice of our new home rink. When we broke apart, he was grinning. "Think they'll write stories about us?" he asked. "The gay hockey players who fell in love and somehow ended up on the same expansion team?" "Probably," I said. "Is that okay?" Marcus considered it. "Yeah," he said finally. "Yeah, it is. Because our story isn't about being gay. It's about being good at hockey and being brave enough to be honest. And finding something real in the middle of all the chaos." "And the kissing," I added. "Our story has a lot of kissing. It's the best part," Marcus agreed, demonstrating his point as we skated together. Falling into the familiar rhythm we've developed over months of practice and games and early morning sessions, I thought about how far we'd come. From that night, when Marcus knocked on my door asking for help, to this moment, starting our professional careers together, it hadn't been easy. There would be more challenges ahead. There always were, when you chose to live authentically in a world that wasn't always ready for it. But we'd face them together, with honesty and courage and the kind of love that made everything else feel possible. "Hey, Dylan," Marcus called out as we practiced passing drills. "Yeah." "Thanks for saying yes that night, for helping me with my shot." I smiled, sending a perfect pass his way. "Best decision I ever made." Caught it smoothly, wound up, and fired. "Top corner. Perfect." "Mine too," he said, skating back to me with that smile that still made my heart race. "Mine too."